Hello, Internet. My name is Ryan Ingram, and if you're in your late teens or early 20s, heck, even your 30s, and if you have any aspirations of becoming a millionaire, then you need to stop and do these things now. I'm going to give you 5 things that are factual. They're not meant to entertain you, and they are going to change your lives and provide the exact framework that I wish I had. Heck, I have done this. I'm currently 29. I have no discernible skills. For the vast majority of this time, I never worked a job that paid me more than $50,000 per year, and I was able to pull this off. If you have any aspirations of becoming a doctor, attorney, something that requires a ton of education, then this video is not for you. It's not going to fit the framework of which you live. The first thing that you need to do is get a job, and not just any job, but a very particular one. It has to be W-2, as close to full-time as possible. If you've already got this, great. If you are 18 to 20 years old, you are in the absolute highest income earning potential that you will probably ever be in. And the reason for all of this is perfectly explained in the wealth formula video. You need to watch that, but not now. Later. That needs to be the next video that you watch so that you can double check my math and figure out exactly what your number is and why this is so important. But you need to get a W-2 job. The reason I say W-2 job is that's incredibly important is because the banks love W-2 earners. This means that the employers withhold the taxes from your account. This means that this paycheck is coming at least once a month. Some teachers are paid that way, but most likely you're going to get paid every other week. Banks love this. They think these are dependable. They will lend on these. They will give you money because of this. Heck, most banks only require 2 pay stubs. That means that you're bankable after 1 month. If you have any aspirations of being a business owner, an entrepreneur, anything like that, I do not care. Right now, that is not important. You're going to have plenty of time to do that. This is laying the foundation, the groundwork for you to be extraordinarily successful. So get a W-2. And again, I mentioned that you're going to be in the highest income earning years of your life. Even if you only get a $10 per hour job, I want you to know that if you're in your late teens, early 20s, if you have 40 years left of time that you can work in your life, which you probably do, then even if you only make 8% at 40 years, every single dollar that you save is worth $21.72. The importance of that is if you're working $10 per hour, if you're in your teens to early 20s and you've got family or friends that you can live with, if you could live for as little as possible, save the majority of this money, then you are looking at $217.20 per hour for your retired future self. Wrap your head around that. You need this. $10 an hour job, nearly immediate bankability. You cannot beat that. If you are wildly successful, if you hit the lottery and you get a $15 per hour job, heck, that is going to be $325.80 per hour. Another benchmark that I'm familiar with is $20 per hour. If you make $20 per hour, that's $40,000 per year. If you can get a job in your late teens, early 20s that pays you 40 grand per year, then that $20 per hour, what that is for your future self after 40 years at just 8%, that's $434.40. What adult do you know right now personally that makes $434.40 per hour? You probably don't. If you're anything like me, if you don't have discernible skills, if you weren't born into wealth, then these people don't exist in your network yet. We started this with something incredibly attainable. $10 per hour, you can find that job. That's $217.20 of earning potential, of the future value of these dollars that you're earning so early on in your life. If you get a grand slam, $20 per hour, $40,000 a year, you are making $434.40 per hour. You cannot beat that. Get a W-2 job, become bankable as quickly as possible. Are you good on that? Keep that in your head. Don't let that thought go anywhere. The second thing that you need to do absolutely as quickly as possible is save $10,000. In order for you to just nail becoming a millionaire by 30, then you need to have the banks supporting you. You need to get an account that has $10,000 in it as quickly as possible. Don't spend any money. Don't eat out. Every single dollar that you earn that you don't have to spend on something essential needs to go into this account, and you need to never touch this money. The only reason that I'm asking that you put this money aside is when you waltz up into the bank attempting to get a loan and they see that you have an account with $10,000 in it, they're not gonna immediately discard you. Banks care about how much money you have in your account, and they treat you incredibly differently when you have a larger than normal balance. $10,000 is not that much money, but this is a giant stepping stone if you're in your teens or early 20s. Another reason it's incredibly important that you have this is because you are so young that generally young people don't have that much money. So if you go into a bank and you start talking about a loan and they see that you have an account with $10,000 in it, immediately they're not going to put you in that same bucket that they put all of the other young people that are trying to go into banks just to negotiate their late payment fees or overcharge fees. Speaking from experience, that's the only reason I used to go into the banks when I was a teenager. Are we good on that? Go out, get a job, get $10,000 in your account as quickly as possible. The third thing that you need to do is buy a house. I don't care what kind of house it is. This is not your forever home. Don't you be picky about this house. It needs to have running water. It needs to have a roof that doesn't leak. It needs to have mechanicals that are going to work for a long time because you are still broke. You cannot go as cheap as possible. You don't want to get a mortgage on that property for 30 years. You don't want to be tied to something that's going to turn into an absolute money pit. But you are not looking for a premier neighborhood. You are not looking to impress your friends. What you're doing is buying something now for not that much money that's going to appreciate for several years, that you can rent out to as many of your friends as possible. If you buy a let me stop, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna write this on the board. If you're buying a house to live in, let's say you buy a $100,000 home. These homes exist. If these homes do not exist in your market or where you need to live, then you need to heavily consider moving. You are not strapped down to the place that you live. That's one of the coolest things about real estate. This is an incredibly nice house. When I first moved to Ohio, I lived in a house. I have 3 kids. They're all under 3 still. For 2 years, we lived in a house that was a $50,000 house, less than 700 square feet, okay? Sacrifices. You're gonna make tons of those early on because you are in the highest income earning portion of your life. You are never gonna have this opportunity again, and you need to make the most of it because you are going to become a millionaire by 30 if you abide by these rules. Long tangent, $100,000 house. If you are going to live in this house, an owner-occupied house, if you're seeking a traditional mortgage, the most that you have to put down is 5%. You could probably get better loans than that, especially in the midst of this pandemic that's happening right now. But 5% of $100,000, that's $5,000. You like how quickly I can do math? And guess what? The banks aren't going to bat an eye when you ask them to buy a $100,000 house because Daddy Fat Sacks, yep, that's you. You're sitting over here with $10,000 in your bank account. Okay, so after your $5,000 down payment, you're looking at a loan balance of $95,000. Pro tip, if this is your first house, do not pay closing costs. Get the seller, whoever you're buying the house from, get them to pay all of the closing costs. It's likely that they have more equity in the house than this. It's not going to hurt them to front those closing costs on your behalf. The reason this is important is because if you're going traditional, if you are buying a property in this range, you could have as much as like $4,000 in closing costs with the appraisal fees, all the loan origination fees, and all of that. If you get the seller to pay that, then this $5,000 is the most that you're going to be down, and that will be an absolute win. But let's get back to stuff that's also incredibly important. A $95,000 loan balance. This is really cool. I'm going to put this on the screen. This is just called Loan Calc is the app. $95,000. You're going to get a 30-year mortgage on this. Let's say worst case scenario. Right now, I had a buddy just call me. He said that he refinanced his house at 3.25%. That's bananas. Let's say you have a 5% loan. That's a buffer. You're probably going to get better than that. We're just trying to be conservative in our estimates. 5%, you're looking at $509 per month. Let's say taxes are $100 per month. Let's say insurance is $50 per month. You're looking at $659 a month. Okay, so now you need to wrap your head around how can you possibly afford $659 per month? Well, stop it. You don't need to afford that. And here is exactly what you need to do. Okay, what kind of house is this? Okay, a 3-bedroom house. You could most certainly get that for $100,000. A 3-bedroom house. You're a young dude. You're a young girl. You have tons of friends. This is also what a lot of people just kind of waste these years of their lives away partying, having tons of fun. That's probably what a handful of your friends already want to do, right? So why don't you take advantage of that? The $659, 3 bedrooms. Let's say that you want to get incredibly greedy. You want 1 bedroom all to yourself. Then you have 2 bedrooms left, okay? 2 bedrooms. Let's say just conservatively you only had 1 person live in those bedrooms. So you have 2 rooms to rent out. What are you gonna do? $350 a month? $350 a month? Can you buy an apartment? Can you live somewhere for $350 a month that isn't your mom's basement? Probably not. But what you can do is offer somewhere to live to a handful of your friends for $350 per month, okay? And check this out. You're young. I remember what it's like to be young. $350, that's cheap. You could do that in your sleep. You could not have a full-time job and still be able to afford that. You could work part-time on the weekends and be able to afford that. All right? So these 2 bedrooms that you're renting out, what if you doubled people up? What if you now had 4 people living there at $350 per month? Now you're bringing in $1,400 per month. 4 people at $350, $1,400 a month. Your original rent payment is $659. You're left with $741 per month. What can you do with that? Now you can be the nice guy. Go ahead, start paying for electricity and water and internet. You've got room to spare. You're getting paid to live in this house. You're living for free. You're taking all of your friends' money. You're giving them an awesome place to live. They don't have to pay for anything. You float the bill on everything. Let's say, being the nice person you are, you pay $300 per month in, electricity, water, internet. That still leaves you with $441 per month for you to put in your pocket. Check this out. If you go back to for each dollar you make at this year of your life, 8%, 40 years, each dollar is $21.72. If you go back to this $441 over here, you are making $9,578.52 per month. That's the earning potential that you are putting into your pocket. Okay, so now you're pocketing $441 per month by renting out to 4 of your friends. These are going to be great times. These are your best friends. You're going to look back on these times and laugh. Sure, it might be uncomfortable, but remember, you are seizing every single drop of the benefits of having so much life ahead of you. Everybody goes through rough or uncomfortable periods of their life. This is yours that's shaping you to be a millionaire by 30. You're making $441. Sure, you're living with 4 people. Just imagine if you threw in a roommate for yourself, you had 6 people living in that house. That's over $800 that you're going to be bringing in, assuming that you rent it out to them for $350 a month as well. Now, just a quick tangent. I bought my first house when I was 23. I accidentally house hacked. It worked out good for me. I rented out to one of my friends. It was a 3-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms. I rented out one to him. He just paid half of the mortgage. That's what we did. I didn't know anything. I kind of stumbled upon this. The only reason that we bought a house is because our apartment that we lived in would not stop raising the rent on us. We lived there for 2 years. We started at $950 per month to live there. On the 3rd year, as the lease renewed, they wanted to charge us $1,390. We said no thanks. We could buy a house and split the mortgage. The property was in my name. The mortgage was in my name. That helped me tons. Ultimately, when I sold the property just 3 years later, I was able to put $30,000 in my pocket just because I made the good decision. Now back to this math problem. $441 goes into your pocket, right? But it gets better. On average, the annual appreciation of homes historically is 4%. So that means after you have your house for 1 year, chances are that house is going to be worth $104,000. So let's say you own this property for 10 years. You've just breached 30 just by making this one decision. You bought a house for $100,000. It appreciated by 4% for 10 years. That house is now worth $140,000. So without you doing anything, you just made 40 grand. There are plenty of other reasons that real estate is a phenomenal idea for you to invest in. If you have stumbled across this video, then you've probably stumbled across dozens of other ones that say there have been more people made millionaires by real estate than any other industry. Again, I'd like to emphasize the fact that I never had a high-paying job. I honestly have never considered myself to be a person that has any sort of distinguishable set of skills. The one thing that I am is incredibly disciplined. I was able to do all of these things that we're talking about relentlessly, and that is why I made it. For the majority of the time that I was doing this, I wouldn't have been able to get a six-figure paying job. I just didn't have the skill set. I don't know how to program. I could say all sorts of negative things about myself, but nonetheless, I did it. Okay? You can too. I'm not trying to sell you a dream. I'm selling you actionable steps that you can truly do right now. They are not hard. That are going to set yourself up for nothing but success in your future. If you are not in your 20s, if you're in your 30s or 40s, all of these things still apply to you. You can get these done faster. You just don't have the benefit of the future value of a dollar working for your hand. But you have a much larger network. You've got more income potential. You can do this at the same rate or even quicker as these younger people because you have more resources readily available to you. Okay, so we've already covered the first 3 things that you need to do. Get a W-2, save $10,000, buy a house. The 4th thing that you need to do, again, this is complete emphasis on the $21.72. You need to not spend any money. Don't do it. Don't spend anything. The reason for that is simple. Every single dollar you save can do wonders for your future self. Whatever you do, do not get wrapped up in the materialistic object thing. They are of no concern to you at this juncture of your life. You are trying to live as small as possible so you could have as much as possible at a later point in your life. The things like cars, the type of house, where you live, what schools you go to, none of this matters. The degrees you have, it's all garbage. 99% of all people are not doing this, okay? I don't care that it's 2020. I don't care that we're in the information age. The thing that's funny about YouTube is if you're watching all these flashy materialistic things, millions of views. The closer you get to actionable things that are going to cause you to go out and work, so few views. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to do these things. It's not going to be pretty, but that doesn't matter. The people that are judging you are going to be broke for the rest of their lives. That's on them. You have the ability to change everything in your life, everything for your future family, your kids, just because you put in the work early. Here's a point of humility. I could write a check for a Lamborghini. I shared that in another video, but I didn't. Check this out. My shoe, giant hole in it. Can you see that? I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm not trying to impress anyone. I've got 63 rental properties. I was driving around to a few of those recently. I realized that all of my tenants, every single one, they have nicer cars than I do. I'm pushing around a Honda Civic. It's a 2009. The bumpers are falling off, both of them. I don't care, right? It's not about the materialistic things. It's not about looking to impress people. It's truly about harnessing the power of a future dollar and making that work for you. All right, I'm done with all of my rants. I don't want this to be just another rendition of the wealth formula. Seriously, you should go watch it to understand the formula that I'm using to come up with all these numbers. But this is the most important thing that I could possibly stress to you, this 5th thing. Are you ready for it? Find a mentor. It doesn't matter what resources you have at your disposal. You need to find somebody. Here's something really cool about successful people. They love sharing exactly how they did it. They want to tell as many people as possible. This seems counterintuitive, especially if you came from like a lower middle class upbringing. Then you have probably heard that like the rich people, the successful people, they're kind of they have this like evil, super selfish overcast to them. I haven't found anything but the polar opposite since I've been striving to be successful. I'm all the time sitting down with people who are like multi-millionaires. I've spoken with billionaires. They have told me incredibly awesome information that is actionable on my part, that's helping me significantly. They are not selfish. They are not evil. These people are incredible. And the reason they're willing to share everything that they know is because, like I said earlier, nobody wants to do this work. I'm not trying to be one of these people that just harp on everybody to work harder, grind, work 24/7. That's not what it's about, right? The hardest working people that I know are the blue collar people who have just completely calloused hands. Working hard is an incredible character trait, but it is not the way to become extraordinarily wealthy. The hardest working people I know are not the most wealthy people that I know. Sure, they're some of the most awesome and greatest character people that I know, but they're not the wealthiest. If you are after wealth, then you need to work smarter, not harder. These things, the things that 99% of people aren't doing, are the exact things that you need to absolutely double down on. Now, finding a mentor, it's not just as easy as going out and finding somebody with a lot of money. It's not just going out and finding somebody that the community views as successful. The two things that are just incredibly easy that I like to point out when I'm finding a mentor is if you would change bank accounts, with them, that's one thing. The second thing is families. One of my mentors, he's a completely changed man now, but one of the turning points that he points out is one day he came home with a pocket full of cash to a house full of strangers. You do not want to listen to the type of people that have made tons of money, but they're on their fourth marriage. They've made tons of money, but they have kids that don't respect them. If you would change bank accounts with somebody, great, that's a starting point, but make sure that you would also change families with them. If you wouldn't change either of these, they're not a mentor. If you would change one but not the other, they're not a mentor. If you find themselves, if you really want to pick their brain about a certain topic, sure, do that. But at the same time, you have to keep this filter on in the back of your head because something is off. They've sacrificed things that are much more important for money for the sake of money. If they have an awesome family, but no money in their bank account, watch out. They're sacrificing important things for family, which isn't bad. Everybody needs a really strong family, but it is possible to have an incredibly cohesive family and have a lot of money. This video has gotten out of control. I knew I was passionate about it, but this was much longer than I expected. So if you have anything that you would like clarified at all, please comment. Please reach out to me and let me know. This is incredibly important. This is something I'm incredibly passionate about. I have built the majority of my wealth through real estate, so this is the way that I know. But again, I pay more in property taxes now than I ever made in my previous W-2 jobs, right? I left my W-2 jobs at like $44,000 per year. I pay more than that in property taxes now. So you do not have to have a high-paying income job in order to be extraordinarily successful or even hit the millionaire by 30 mark. Let's go out, let's be smart, let's work together, encourage each other, build each other up, become extraordinarily wealthy, and change our community. It's not outside the realm of possibility, and you are needed in order for this world to become a better place. Not just you, but the best version of yourself. You owe it to your community, you owe it to your family, you owe it to your friends to be the best version of yourself so that you have more resources to lift everybody up along with you. Can't wait to talk to you soon.